Annmarie Thomas. I was only 13 years old on the day the riot erupted in Detroit, Michigan. My oldest sister, two cousins, a friend of mine, and myself were attending the Motown Revue at the Fox Theater. Stevie Wonder was performing on the stage when suddenly we could hear my mother's voice screaming and my sister's and my name loudly. We had no idea what was going on. So embarrassed, we slid down in our seats to hide because we could hear the laughter from the audience. As an usher directed my mother and a next door neighbor into the Fox's auditorium, my mother finally spotted us and gestured to us to get up from our seats because, as my mother put it, "Hurry, come on, Detroit is on fire." I remember looking up and seeing the fear in my mother's face as we all immediately left our seats and followed behind my oldest cousin and my sister as to protect the end of the group from the unknown emergency we were about to face. When we exited the theater building, I could see gray, thick smoke that streaked the blue summer sky. Sirens could be heard in all directions. We were terrified, but Mrs. Macklin, our next door neighbor, started up her car and took off through all the commotion, trying to get us all home safely. As we entered Woodward Avenue, we were directed to many different detours because the buildings were burning and people were wildly running in the streets, seemingly to escape the disaster that we observed from the moving car. There were many police officers, certainly more than I had ever witnessed in my young teen years. I could feel the fear inside of me, and as I looked into my cousins, sisters, and friends' eyes, I knew that they were experiencing the same fear also. We finally made it to West Grand Boulevard. While passing 12th Street, I could see the fierce black smoke that covered the sky, indicating danger to anyone making a right turn off of West Grand to 12th. My mother kept telling us, "We're gonna be all right. We're almost home." As we approached West Grand Boulevard and Linwood, we watched people running in the streets with television sets and food from the A&P grocery store. The large window of the store was smashed as we watched people climb into the opening made by bricks and other objects that would break a large-sized window. We continued to hear the sirens of fire trucks and police cars. Finally reaching Lawton, Mrs. Macklin made a right turn to get us to our destination, Northwestern Street. I remember seeing familiar faces running toward West Grand, maybe to loot or observe the insanity of an out-of-control situation. When we got closer to Northwestern, we could see that Chris's party store on Lawton and Northwestern had also been invaded by looters, helping themselves to merchandise that was purchased by a family who owned the business and had always been kind to neighbors who supported the business. We finally arrived home safely, stunned from what we had just witnessed. My mother frantically made phone calls to my father and oldest brother to make sure they were okay at their jobs. She then explained to us that she had heard that the Detroit Stress Unit had beaten an African American man to death, so there was an outrage from other African Americans who were tired of the unjust treatment they had been receiving from the special unit of the police department. The beginning of a peaceful Saturday turned out to be a disaster as 5 frightened girls went upstairs and got on our knees and began to pray. We looked from our bedroom window to see smoke of fires from blocks away rapidly digesting the sky with fumes of heavy smoke. We were so afraid that our neighborhood would be destroyed as well. The National Guard was ordered to survey the city for law and order, but the killing and looting did not stop the first 2 days of the riot, as I recall. I remember it was reported that suspected snipers had been shooting at police officers and National Guardsmen from the roof of a building on Linwood and Hogarth. A man was shot and killed by officers along with other individuals on 12th Street where the disturbance was supposed to have originated. Stores and homes were destroyed from the devastating riot of 1967. My girlfriend's cousin's home on Calvert off of 12th was burned to the ground, and their family had to temporarily move in with my girlfriend and her family. The number of deaths and injuries mounted as the city continued to be controlled by the National Guard. Innocent people lost their lives during this disruption, even innocent children. As we sat on our porch while the curfew was enforced, I remember waving to the men who drove down Northwestern in Army Jeeps followed by Army tanks. In the early part of the day, we were allowed to take short walks up to the Northwestern High School's field. The Green Army vehicles canvassed the entire field. The neighborhoods were like a ghost town of ruined buildings with no employees working on a usual workday. Grand River no longer displayed Red Robin clothing store, Cunningham's, and other businesses that were completely destroyed. There was very little merchandise left to pick up from the ruins, but our father forbade us to bring any merchandise in our home that was not paid for. My cousin, visiting from Duke in Pennsylvania, called her parents every day reporting the news of what she surprisingly was experiencing on her vacation in Detroit. Chris's family, owners of the corner party store on Lawton and Northwestern, never came back to the neighborhood to pass out free candy when the children who lived there received an A or B on their report cards. Even the handful of candy that was given away on Halloween night was obsolete for the children after the riot. Yes, Detroit was in turmoil in the summer of '67. This was a part of history that I will always remember, and as I relive the scenes of the 1967 Detroit riot. While writing this essay, I think about the flourishing buildings that once served and occupied a once family-oriented community. Now, when I visit my mother's home, I only have memories of the stores, shoe repair shops, and apartment buildings on Linwood and Northwestern. For the last 30-something years, the buildings have been replaced with lifeless, vacant lots that may never see the reconstruction of a neighborhood that once told the story of a historical moment in Detroit, 1967.